For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia rise?
Madam Chair, I rise for the purpose of placing a name in nomination.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What a privilege we all are enjoying tonight. We are all enjoying as elected members of this great body. The People's House, as it has been said. And what a great representation of the constitutional republic in which we enjoy living, the greatest country in the history of the world, as we play out as the people's representatives in selecting the all-important position of the Speaker of the People's House. I was out in the southeast balcony here just a few moments ago, looking out at the Supreme Court, looking at the flag flying above this Capitol building, looking at the Jefferson and Madison, both Virginians, by the way, libraries of Congress, and pausing to do what probably most of us recognize we fail too often to do, to take it in, this high privilege, this distinct honor that we have to be the people's representatives from our respective districts in this House, here in this Congress. This is the greatest nation in the history of the world. With all of our imperfections and all of our imperfections as people and as a nation, no nation in the history of the world has freed more people, has rescued more people, has ministered to more people, has evangelized more people than the United States of America. And that would be a good time to respond with some applause. Yes, yes, There's a reason why people from all over the world are trying to get into this country. Many of them illegally due to the policies of the current administration. But people from all over the world are literally taking on a treacherous journey, risking life and limb, subjecting themselves to abuse to try to sneak their way into our country because they know this is the greatest country in the history of the world. No country in the history of the world has provided more upward mobility, more advancement opportunity to people of all races, all nationalities, all ethnicities like the United States of America. But however, we as a nation, we're teetering on the brink, aren't we? Isn't there just a window of opportunity to save the republic? Crisis after crisis, $32 trillion in national debt. Equates to over $90,000 per citizen, almost $100,000 now per citizen. Some $300,000 per household. When I said that on this very floor a few months ago in a budget debate, the then chairman of the Budget Committee said, "Stop saying that. We're not asking anybody to pay it back." As if it's not real, as if it's not monopoly. As I heard someone say, don't tell the other side what happens after trillion, what comes after trillion. And we just spent $1.7 trillion, both parties, Republicans joining in the Senate, a few in the House, to pass a $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill. Sadly and unfortunately, part of the reason why I stand here today, the kind of bill that has been supported by our former minority leader every time it's come up in the House, no matter who is in control in the 12 years that he has been in leadership, contributing to the $32 trillion in national debt. Yes, the other side is better at raising the debt than we are, but we have been participants. We're in crisis. We're in crisis with 5 million illegals having invaded the border in the last 2 years. When is it too much? We're in crisis with the state of our education system, K-12, college campuses, indoctrination of our kids. We're in crisis with the weakening of our military with these NDAA bills. We're in crisis with trampling on our most basic and essential freedoms over the last 2 years in ways we couldn't have imagined pre-2020. Whether we can assemble, whether we can worship, whether we can earn a living, whether we can travel, what we have to put on our face, whether or not what we have to take into our body, whether or not we have to disclose what we've taken in. Trampled in ways we couldn't have imagined just a few years ago. The greatest reflection of where the people in the country are is the House of Representatives. And the people spoke back on November 8th and gave the majority by some 3 or 4 million votes to the Republican Party. It's not the White House It's not the Senate, it's the people's house that reflects where the American people are, and they've trusted us on this side of the aisle with the leadership of this house. And we have a window of opportunity to validate that trust, to do whatever we can to save the republic, to earn them giving us the Senate and the White House and this House back in 2024. We have got to have a leader who not only has true conservative convictions that reflect the majority of Republicans who sent us here, but yet a courageous leader. It doesn't matter what you believe, by the way, unless you're willing to take risks to yourself personally to fight for it. We need a leader who is proven to do that very thing. We have an opportunity to make history. We will live with this decision on this side of the aisle for the next 2 years. We will answer for how we voted. And I know how people in your respective districts, like mine, Madam Chair, all the respective districts, how they're telling you to vote. They've been telling me how to vote for 3 years, to vote for transformational change in our leadership of this Republican Party. They've told me not to vote for the status quo, not to vote for the next in line establishment creature of the swamp cartel, but to vote for transformational change. And they're watching us. They're wondering if we'll hang in there. Or will we cave? Or will we give in? Or will we let them down one more time? And I say we're not going to do that. They're looking to us. You look and see what a great job a recent businessman did in the White House. Did things no one else has ever done in the White House. Did things that no one else has ever done to try to change the country. Showed courage and common sense and judgment that we've not seen before. We need a businessman as the Speaker of the House. We need a businessman like Kevin Hern as Speaker of the House. We need a businessman like Kevin Hern, who has led the Republican Study Committee's budget task force that I've served on for 2 years and put forth the only balanced budget that I've seen, heck, the only budget that I've seen in the 2 years that I've been here, who fought alongside us to say, why don't we adopt the Republican Study Committee's budget for the Republican Party? And we didn't get agreement to do that. We need someone who will do that. And we need someone who's the head of the largest caucus in the Republican conference, someone like Kevin Hern. So it's my privilege to put an official nomination, Kevin Hern, for Speaker of the House. Thank you, and I yield back.